Hey guys, welcome to Marcus Loves Movies and welcome to my movie review of The Batman. We have been looking forward to this movie for quite a long time. We've been waiting a long time for this movie and it's finally here. I watched it last night. I've had some time to process it, think about it, and here I am to share my thoughts and feelings about the movie. So let me give you a quick plot outline, then we'll get into the review. Batman ventures into Gotham City's underworld when a sadistic killer leaves behind a trail of cryptic clues. As the evidence begins to lead closer to home and the scale of the perpetrator's plans become clear, he must forge new relationships, unmask the culprit, and bring justice to the abuse of power and corruption that has long plagued the metropolis. It sounds deep. The first thing I'll say about this film is it was definitely worth the wait, and the good news is this is a fantastic film and one you should definitely go and watch. It feels like a fresh take on the Batman, even though we've had several versions of Batman on screen. This feels dark and dingy and moody and gothic, and we know that Nolan's take on the Batman character was very dark, but it felt like a Batman that was still suitable for a 12A PG-13 audience. This one feels more like a crime noir detective movie in the vein of Seven, where you have murders take place, but these murders aren't kind of dressed up in a way that's kind of family friendly, that, you know, people have died and we need to solve these murders and solve these crimes. This feels like a very dark, horrendous Gotham that isn't made for a mainstream audience. It's also a detective movie where Batman actually gets to be a detective. He's got to use his brain to try and figure out why these murders are taking place. He's got to figure out these riddles which are laid out in front of him. Because it's early on in his Batman career, he's still at a stage where the police don't massively like him or trust him. They see him as a vigilante, so they say not very nice things behind his back. It's only really Commissioner Gordon who's on his side and is willing to work with him. We're so used to seeing Batman use a ton of cool gadgets, and whilst we do have them in this film, they're only used when they're absolutely necessary. This is a younger Batman, so when we see him fighting, he fights dirty, he fights rough, he probably goes a little bit over the top when he's trying to take someone down, but he also has to take punishment as well. So when he gets punched, it feels like it hurts. It feels very realistic. It is dark, it is moody, it is grim, it rains all the time. Even when the sun comes out, it still feels like a dark day. The entire feel of this movie is that it is heavy, it is weighty, there is so much going on. But I like my dark films. I mean, the colour palette is black, it is grey, but it works perfectly for this version of Batman. There are a couple of moments of levity where you might get the occasional laugh here and there. But if you compare that to the Zack Snyder Batman, there were some moments of comedy which felt a bit forced and they completely didn't work, but it works here. Casting Robert Pattinson was a really interesting choice that made several of us think, I'm not sure this is the right guy to play the role, but we'll still give him a chance, because even though he's made some interesting career choices, he's done some great films in recent years, many of us still think of him as that heartthrob in Twilight. But I think he's done a great job to break away from that. He was a fantastic choice to play Batman. He doesn't have a ton of dialogue, which really works for me because he's not over-explaining everything. A lot of what he does with this role is he plays it through his facial expressions. He's not a happy guy. He has a bit of a goth look about him. We don't need to go back and go over the fact that his parents were killed. We don't have to revisit that backstory. We see that in his expression of that character. We see it in how he moves. We see it in how he looks. We see it in the fact that he doesn't really smile very much throughout the entire film. He does all of that without having to say lots, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Here are some other things that I genuinely liked about the film. I loved the Riddler. I loved this character on screen. I think back to Jim Carrey's Riddler, who was camp and fantastic, and he was great in his own way, but this Riddler is like nothing we've seen on screen before. Yes, we've seen characters like this on screen before, but to see the Riddler portrayed like this, I absolutely loved. On some level, I started thinking about Bane, because the Riddler also has this sort of distorted voice. He's also got parts of his face hidden. We only get to see his eyes really behind glasses. and he's got this raincoat thing going on. But I thought Paul Dano's Riddler feels genuinely scary, realistic, like something you would see on the news today. I like the way that this character had this constant social media thing about him, that, you know, he's filming himself talking through his phone, and you've even got the social media live chat thing like you'd see on Insta. I loved this version of the Riddler. Really intimidating, thought it was fantastic. I also loved the Penguin in the movie, played by Colin Farrell behind a ton of prosthetic makeup, with the voice and the way he moved. Absolutely fantastic. Big up Colin. I love it when an actor plays a role, and if you didn't know who the actor was, you'd never be able to link the two. You'd never be able to say, oh yeah, I could tell that's definitely Colin Farrell. I just thought his portrayal of that character, this gangster in Gotham, was brilliant. The Penguin is involved in a car chase with Batman in the film, and we see little elements of that in the trailer. And it's actually one of my favorite action sequences in the film, not just because of how it plays out with cars weaving through the streets of Gotham, but about how certain elements are introduced to us on screen. The first time we see the Batmobile, we hear the engine revving, and I was getting excited as I was hearing that. And there was a sense of that in the cinema audience where I was, that people were getting excited because this car is coming out of the darkness. And the film does that in several other places in how it introduces certain elements. So the first time that we see Batman, it's about this emerging from the darkness. The first time we see the Riddler, the first time we see Catwoman, it's about how these characters are being shown to us for the first time, how they are emerging from something. I just thought it was done in such a clever way. I really liked how it was done. Overall, I thought the casting choices were fantastic. I've already mentioned Robert Pattinson, but I thought getting Jeffrey Wright to play Commissioner Gordon was a really smart choice. Also, Andy Serkis as Alfred. I actually wish we had more screen time with Serkis as Alfred. I thought Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle, she was brilliant. And then, like I've already said, Colin Farrell and Paul Dano, all great casting choices which lend towards a fantastic film. So the downside of the movie, and I've only really got one downside, which is it was too long. It was too long. When I heard we got a 3-hour Batman movie, I was really excited. I thought we're going to have lots to deal with on screen, lots to digest and discuss in the aftermath, but it was a bit of a slog. I feel like the runtime could have been 2.5 hours. There were certain elements that could have been condensed, that would have worked a little bit better. Sadly, it was just a little bit too long for my liking. Other people might have enjoyed that. I've seen some people say it was great. It felt like it was an hour. I disagree. It was too long. So what we have is a modern day crime noir detective movie about those who don't have very much fighting against those in positions of power who are taken from the disenfranchised, and those who have been disenfranchised are now fighting back. It feels like it's a movie that is about the year 2022. It feels very realistic, very present. Doesn't feel like a fantasy superhero movie. This isn't a world where Superman exists. It feels very realistic. We have terms in there like white privilege. So some people might not like certain elements of the movie. They might accuse it of being woke, but I just think, you know what? Just because a movie uses terms you might not like, you know, grow up, deal with it. It's a fantastic movie. It's one you should definitely go see. I'm going to go see it again because I think there are probably certain elements here and there that I might have missed, but it's so good that I'm going to watch it again. So my official Marcus Loves Movies rating for The Batman is, mini drum roll, 4.5 stars. So those are my thoughts about the film. I think there's a lot more to say about it. There is more room for discussion. I might make some more videos about the Batman. This is what I think, but I would love to know what you think about the movie. Have you seen the Batman, or are you yet to go see it? What do you think of this review? Is this a good review? Do you think this review sucks? Let me know what you think in the comment section and I will respond to you. Guys, thank you for watching my movie review of The Batman. Whilst you're here, please, would you give this video a thumbs up? And if you like movie reviews like this one, if you like movie discussion and trailer reactions and all that good stuff, can I encourage you to hit the subscribe button so you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and to also hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I release a brand new video. I would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching my movie review of The Batman. Please stay tuned for the next review and I'll catch up with you again soon. So until then, take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching.